Okay, so we'll start the next Mamer. This is the 11th Mamer in the part1 Shelach. It has the same heading as previously. Vaya lציצית וראיתם oisoi uzechartem. So that the fringes on the talus, on the garment of four corners, should be for a tzitzis. So when you see them, uzechartem goimer, and you will see them and you will remember, etc. Leman. And the first says further, Leman tiskuru v'asisem v'goimer, so that you will remember and you'll do the mitzvahs. And he's going to explain what is it that they have to remember and what is going to bring them about to do the mitzvahs. And there is a reminder that we need to remind us who we are in order to get us inspired and fired up, as he's going to explain. Because the Eibishter brought down people in a world, in a Gashmisdika world, which is a yesh, which is an entity, and we need to make it in a level of bittul. So that's the challenge, and that's what we have to remember, and we have to bring about the doing of the mitzvahs in a proper way. Sagt der Alter Rebbe, Hine Knesset Yisrael Nikra Kala. Knesset Yisrael is called Kala. In other words, we're a bride. We're a Kodesh Baruch Hu's bride. There's going to be several verses that refers to the Yidden as the wife, as the bride of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And the world and the Eibishter, Knesset Yisrael Nikra Kala, VaKodesh Baruch Hu Nikra Chosn. B'Shem Chosn. The Eibishter is called like the Chosn. And there is a yearning from the Kala to the Chosen, and the Chosen is Mashpia to the Kala. Where do we find this idea of marriage between Hashem and the Yidden? Is K'moshe Kosev, as the pasuk says, B'yoyim Chasunosei. Over there it said B'yoyim Chasunosei. The Gemara teaches, the Mishnah, and teaches that Zeh Matan Torah, that this is the giving of the Torah, which means that when the Eibishter gave us the Torah, we got married to the Eibishter. That's sort of, we got, that's our marriage. Uksiv, and then there's another pasuk that also says, B'yoyim hahu tikri'i ishi v'goymer. The Eibishter says, and that day you will call me my husband. After there's the time of Golus, that's sort of considered like a time of separation between the Yidden and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yemahu tikri ishi, you'll be, call me my husband. What is this idea that the Eibishter is a chosen, the Eibishter is the husband, and we are the Kala? So he says, he's going to say that the Isha is the Eish Havaya, which the person has, that fire to go up to Hashem. That fire that comes to go up to Hashem comes from Ish, comes from the man, with the Yud, from the level of Chokhmah. That comes from Milmayla. Inyan, Kihine Kesiv, the pasuk says, Lezois Yikore Isha. For this reason we call her Isha, Kimeish Lukachazois, because she was taken from the man. The man is when they took a rib from Adam, he called her Isha because she was taken from the man. So he says, Sheknesses Yisrael Nikras B'Shem Isha. Knesses Yisrael is called with the name Isha. Al Shem, why is it called Isha? Eish Hay. It's called the fire of Hay. The fire of Hay represents a fire of wanting to connect to Hashem, because that's the source which we all come from. The Hay we come from, because that's the letter Hay from the Shem Havaya, Yud K. So the Gemara says that the Yud Nivra Olam Haba, and with the Hay, the Olam Hazeh was created. So basically, we come into existence from the Eish, from the Hay. That's the Eish Havaya. The Eish Havaya means that you're fired up from that level of that Hay that Hashem created the world. Ki behei bra. The pasuk says bihi baram, and we expound it to mean behei braam, that Hashem created with the level of hay. What is the level of hay? Hay is hay mutzos hapeh. Those are the four expression of the mouth, for the different areas where the vos, the letters, where they come from. Hey mutzos hapeh. That means that they're the source of all the letters that come from the mouth. They come because there's the five expressions, the way they come out from the mouth, from the throat, from the inside, from the lips. Uberuach piv kol tzvam, which basically we say it also that all the armies of the heaven comes from the ear of his mouth. Those are the mutzos hapeh. That is the source, and that is the exit of the 10, where they come, the 10 mamoris, which the world was created. So what is that? The Hainu Mamer Aleph Sheyachli Baris. The Mishnah says that the Eibishter could have created with one Mamer. That one Mamer is the Mokoir Umoitza. That's the hay. That's the Ruach Piv, which is the source. Later on, it comes out into the Asor Mamoros. So why do we say this a hay? The Inyan HaHehu. Why is it the level of the hay? Is Lefishahu also Kalila the Leis B'Mashosha. We say this in the Piyut of the Agdomas. We say it's a light letter that has no substance, meaning it's a level, represents the level of bittul. Hey, the word hey is like a hollow letter. It doesn't have vav, zayin, they have a substance. Letter hey, the expression, it's hollow, it's ear, it's almost the ear. It's an osa kalila, it's called a light letter, the leis b'mashosh. Shehu ha'ora ba'almo ha'yoitzas melhevel halev lepeh. That's just a ray that comes from the heat of the heart to the mouth, liyos mekoir hadibur, to become the source of speech. So, what is it? Ha'ora hahi eino negas la'atzmis muhusa nefesh. That ha'ora does not touch, or it's not concern, it's of no concern to the essence of Musa Nefesh. Rakoyach is ha'hispashtus mimeno shenimshach mibchinas chitzonis bilvad. It is merely a power that extends from her. No, it's not an invested. It's not something which the nefesh sort of dresses up, or it connects, but it comes from the nefesh. Mibchinas chitzonis bilvad. She'enzu hamshachas pnimis hanefesh. It's not the extension of pnimis hanefesh. What is this an example? That the Eibishter creation of the world, we say behei nivra. That is the light letter. That the Eibishter connection to the world is as if the world come by itself. It's not like a connected that Hashem invests in it, but it sort of shines on its own. So likewise, by way of example, the energy, the vitality that extends for it to be the creation, and the bringing into the being of all the worlds from ex nihilo, from nothing into existence, into an entity, to be filling the world and surrounding the world. Just like the letter hey from the nefesh is a chitzonis, this is merely a ray and a shine from the externality. The hainu mibchinas malchus yizbarach, which is the level of Hashem's blessed kingdom, malchus. She'einoi elo hispashtus lezulosoi she'ein melech b'loi om. That level of Hashem's malchus is only Hashem's expansion to someone outside, because by saying that the Eibishter is a king, there has to be some external entity, because you have to be a king over something. You have to have something outside of you to rule over, to be a king over them. If we say she'ein melech b'lo amchulu, you have to have. There cannot be a king if he doesn't have a people, if he doesn't have a nation. He needs somebody to be a king over. So the level of malchus is a hispashtus that this creates that externality. And this shine and this extension of Knesset Yisrael, the Knesset Yisrael, that's the Makkah Neshamas. That's the source of the Neshamas. It's called Knesset Yisrael. So liyos lahem eish v'yislavus, so that the Neshamas have a fire and they have this flame of excitement, liyislaim, to flame up and to fire up, berish eish, which sparks a fire with shuka and desire, to become subjugated and be included, desire, nikra isha. That is called the isha, the eish Hashem, the fire of Hashem. Eish Hashem. As the pasuk says, "Vel ishech shukosech," that your desire will be to your husband. So, basically, malchus from the letter Hey, which comes into the world, inspires by Knesset Yisrael, the source of Yidden, to have that yearning and that desire, that fire of excitement to Hashem, Elishech Shukosich, that's the Isha, that's the Eish Hashem. Uksiv. Then there's another pasuk that states, Neir Havaya Nishmas Odom, that the soul of man is God's lamp. What does it mean that the soul is the lamp of God? It means because it explains that the soul is like a nair, it's like a lamp that wants to go to Hashem automatically. That's the human soul. The human soul wants to expire. Shaneshama kruya neir. A neshama is called a lamp. Kineir, a fire. It's called the light, a candle. Kineir hadoluk mimato lemaila. It's like a light that is lit. It goes from below to above. B'tevatul dosa. In the nature, as it's created, fire, an air wants to go up. The neshama, before it comes into this world to dress up a gufa gashmi, is referred to as an air because it wants to go up naturally, wants to connect to Hashem. That's why it's an air Hashem. That is before it comes into this world. But even after it comes to the world, v'gam achar kach, even after that it comes to the world, kol haba lemale es yodei, one who wants to fill his hands, meaning you want to do avoda, v'libo in his heart la Hashem, you want to fill your hands and your heart to Hashem. Harei b'koyach nafshi la'oder es ha'ava. So then there is the power in his soul to arouse that love, chulu. You still have that ability to bring that love, bring it out. Oh, so the question is, so you have the Isha, Eish Hashem. How do we able to get this Eish Hashem since the Eibishter created us in a way that we are a yesh, we're only a hispashtus. It's only from the letter Hey, and it's only in his pashtus. Hashem creates us to be an entity. How are we able to achieve a level of bittul? How could we get love bittul? To understand, since the chayis comes down to create created being, from nothingness into existence. They are in the level of Am, which is separate. That's from the coal. It's called means those are dying down. They're already separated. They're not fired up anymore. So we are not fired up. They actually created us to be a people. We're a people, and we're oimimais, and we've the fire is not there. So from where should they have the power? Where would they get the power so that they should have that subjugation and that inclusion in the level of the Ein Sof, etc. In Al-Zeh Marakosu, that's what the pasuk says, Kimei ish lukocha zois. Because Isha comes from Ish. Ish is Eish Yud. Ish is the fire of Yud, Eish Yud. Fire of Yud, it says like this, Ki Yud u'bichinas chochma ilah. Yud is the supreme level of Chochmah. That's Chochmah Atzilus. Shahayud hi nekuda ketana. Yud is a small dot. V'kacha Chochmah, and likewise the Chochmah, hirak b'chinas barak hamavrik b'moyach. It's merely a lightning that gives you a lightning in your mind. A lightning means you don't grasp it. It just, there's an insight over there. That is before it comes to understanding and grasping, revealed in your mind. Shahabino, because the bina who Irak b'chinas barak hamavrik. Habino who archovas hadas yisrachbus hamoyach. The bina's job is to widen the knowledge and widen the moyach, b'derech harucha ruchav, in a long and a wide way. So the bina takes and articulates and expands that lightning thought that comes into the level of Chochmah. So likewise, when we talk about the supreme bina, the bina of Atzilus, who oilom hatainug l'neshamas, that is the world of the light of the neshamas. It comes from the level of bina. Shemis anigin v'nenim b'haskalosom v'hasagosom ba'oirei sabaruchu. They are enjoying when they understand and they grasp in the light of the blessed Ein Sof. Basogazu, but that grasping is nikra b'shem yesh. That's not bittul. That is an entity. As the pasuk says, lahanchil oyavai yesh, and the nikra Gan Eden. That is called Gan Eden. That level of yesh. That's what they have the Gan Eden. That's Yovel yesh. But when we talk about chochma, the ayin chulu. Chochma is ayin, comes from ayin. Hu b'chinas Eden. That's the level of Eden, Gan Eden. That's the Eden, Mekoir HaTainug. That's the source of the Tainug. Kimoi she'ein Tainug nigla. Just like there is no revealed the light, b'chochma and chochma k'shadayin mavrik b'moyach, when it's still lightning in the mind. Koidem she'mizgala b'bina v'hasoga shows mizgala HaTainug. Then the Tainug comes out when it comes to bina. Mashenkin b'chochma. But when we're in Chochmah, over there, the Tainug is still hidden. You don't feel Tainug over there. Chochmah, Na'ayin, because when Chochmah comes from Ayin, is Ubitl Mamish. That is Mamish a Bitl B'Ein Sabaruch. So basically, Ish is Aleph, the Yud. The Yud is the level of Chochmah. Chochmah is the level of Bitl, which is the opposite of Gan Eden, which is Yesh. When you have the Ish, that the Isha comes from the Ish, that's the way you create the level of it. Ubechachma yosad aretz. Hashem, through this level of bittul, of chachma, he established the land. Meaning the land is Malchus, that's the Knesset Yisrael. It was with chachma. Liyos nimshach b'chinas bittul b'moker b'shorish neshamas Yisrael. But there should be the level of bittul in the source and the root of neshamas Yisrael. That's in the Knesset Yisrael. So from that level of chachma, it's extended that level to the neshamas Yisrael. That they should have the level of bittul. So he asked before the fact, how do we have bittul if we were created to be a yesh, an entity? And the answer is, it comes from the level of yud, level of chachma, which Hashem is mamshich to the. And once it goes to the source of the neshamas Yisrael, Sham Yiporit, from there it separates itself, and it divides the samach ridu, the neshamas Yisrael, to 600,000 souls of the Yidden. Shehem Shorshei HaNeshamas. They are the root of the souls. Ubahem Anofim Chulon. Then you have branches, because it's more than 600,000, a lot more. So the 600,000 are the roots of the Neshamas, and then they come expanded in branches. To bring down in them also the level of bittul. So they should have the level of bittul hayesh and a level of isha, vaya, and level of ner. V'zehu ner havaya. And this is what it is, the meaning of a ner of havaya. What does it mean? The ner, a lamp of havaya. A lamp of havaya means that they get havaya nimshach pirush. That the Shem Havaya from the level of Yud, the Bittul, extends to the Neshama, that it should be a Ner, that it should want to be bottled to the Eibishter. That's the source. That's how we have later on the level of Bittul. But how does this level of Bittul come down? For that, we come down through mitzvahs. For that, we need mitzvahs. So how do we bring down the Chochmei law revealed below? So it's like the seed, the drop that comes from the brain of the male, that tipa needs to develop in the mother's womb into 613 limbs and the whole of in all the limbs. So to get from the level of moyach, it has to go through all the limbs. That's the Torah. It has to go through the expansion. And the drawing down the chokhmah needs to take place. This is through the 248 limbs of the king, which are the 248 mitzvahs. The mitzvahs become the vehicle to the Ein Sof that is rest in them. So they bring down basically the Ein Sof, the mitzvahs, that level of moichim kimoyhe vorim shem kelim the neshama, just like the limbs are vessels for the neshama that draw down the life force of the neshama into them. The ruach hachaim mispashes them, and the spirit of life that expands in them. The mitzvahs draw down the chayis of Hashem, of the Ein Sof. Mitzvahs hein shemamshiches. It's the mitzvahs that draw down b'chinas chochmei law, the level of chochmei law, b'chinas bittul l'klonos neshamas Yisrael. That the level of bittul to all neshamas, general neshamas Yisrael. Shetiyeno b'chinas isha v'ner. They should be in a level of isha, eish hey v'ner, and that is b'gematria. The ner b'gematria reish nun. What is 250? We know there's 248 mitzvahs, and the 248 mitzvahs come down from the right and the left which is the Ava and the Yira, Smoilei and Yeminai. So together, 248 and 2 equals 250, which is the level of Ner. Ner is 250. Parshas Truma Daf Kuf Samach Vav Amid Beis. It says that Kibichinas Ramach mitzvahs and Imshochas Lamato, because the 248 mitzvahs that come down below, they come through the two levels of Yeminu Smoil. As we say, Smoiloi Tachas L'Roishi V'Yeminu Techapkeni. His left under my head and his right hugs me. So these are the Hamshocha that come from the level of the Ramach mitzvahs Asay in the right and the left. Kashpoes v'Hamshochas Eirin Sobaruchu. Shenimshach Lamato is the Nimshach Lamato, because this Hashpoah and Hamshocha that comes from the Insof that comes below, who b'chinas Chesed u'Mayim. Sheyordi Mokum Gavoya. That's Chesed and Mayim that comes from a high place. So that's the level of Yeminai, and then there's also the level of Shmoyla Chulu, etc. However, had it come down below as it is above, the true level of bittul, then they would not be a separate entity. So it needs to be a level of a tzimtzum sheyiyeh b'chinas yesh. There should be a yesh, the hainu sha'abitl yiyeh min hayesh v'dover nifra darkeh. So we want that the bitl should be from an entity and something separate. In other words, you want it to be a yesh and it to be bottle. So it has to come through a tzimtzum. If it comes through right away, then there's no mitzias, there's no yesh. So in order to be a yesh and bottle, we have to have a tzimtzum dika hamshocha from the level of chokhmah, so that you can make the bittul hayesh. The parshas mikate saved you amaschil hamagbihi lo sheves. So over there he teaches you pirush hamagbihi. So you see hamagbi hey yud. He raises the hey yud lo sheves. So he explains like this: pirush hamagbiha yud hu yud shebehei. Who raises Hamagbi, who raises the Yud, is the Yud that's in the Hay. A Hay has a Yud, which is that little leg over there. That's the Yud of the Hay. Shahadalid, Dalid is a B'chinad Lesle Megarmo Klum. It doesn't have anything of its own. That the word Dalid means poor. It doesn't have anything. You put in a Yud over there, Nase Hay Adeh Yud Shebetoicha. So that's the way to raise it up. The Yud raises it. So this says, and that's the level of mitzvah. That the mitzvah raises the person to be able to get the level of chokhmah, which is the same idea, shemitzedek naset tzedakah. From tzedek, if you add the hay, which you add the yud into the hay, chulu aisha. Nimtza idea mitzvah nimshach hayud b'teicha dalad is not a hay, that through the mitzvah the yud comes in the dalad to become a hay. Bezehu mamish kinyan avurkan. This is exactly what's explained here. Shah mitzvahs hein shemamshichas b'chinas chochmah lo. The mitzvahs bring down the level of chochmah lo b'chinas eish yud l'knesses Yisrael. That eish yud l'knesses Yisrael shetitiyano b'chinas eish havaya chulush v'isha eish havaya. Zehu shekosav medrash shirashim aposik zamchuni ba'ashishas. So it says ashishois l'shon rabim. B'shtei eishus. There's two fires. So we're talking about isha and ish, eish hey and eish yud. U'b'tikun zeh pirish, and it's going to explain. Train eshin. He says the two fires, eshe chivra ve'eshe sumka, the white and the red. U'b'tikun samach dal pirish. Bashishas, over there it says ish v'isha. But really they're all the same. So So this is all the Ishay and the Ishu.